1. Retention of semen makes me calm, collected, and cool. I feel more present and able to engage in the conversation when I'm talking to clients, meeting new people, or hanging out with women. Rather than focusing on what I'm going to say next, I pay attention to what others are saying and make an attempt to engage in a back and forth dialogue. I can tell when others are uncomfortable, and because I'm comfortable in 99% of circumstances, I'm able to make them feel at ease. Many people talk about how they feel when they intimidate other males, and I believe this is a really juvenile way of thinking. You must be a good human being who makes others feel at ease in your presence. Even if you don't agree with them, you should be able to be kind to everyone if you are confident in yourself. If I'm rejected by a woman, I simply forget about it the next day and move on. Previously, I was more inclined to become fixated on a certain girl. However, I've discovered that once you move on, you'll be amazed at how quickly you'll find a new one. I'm not out screwing all kinds of ladies, but I do enjoy meeting new people and seeing who I get along with. The end goal isn't always sex. Take, for example, last night, I ran into a waitress I knew and we went out for a drink. After spending the night exploring the abandoned building across the street from her flat, she had a terrific time. At the end of the night, I volunteered to come in and keep her company, but I knew in the back of my mind that I didn't want to break my streak. So when she answered no, I was relieved to be able to return home and leave in a nice attitude. Now it's up to me to think clearly and decide whether or not I want to see her again. Semen retention, I believe, keeps my ego in check. I want what I want, but if I don't get it, I simply go on, which is quite liberating. 2. The level of energy is out of this world. However, you must do something with it. I wasn't working out at all when I initially started. I got out of it and spent the rest of my day drinking instead. Fortunately, I purchased a home gym a few months back, which has made the entire process much more fun. Prior to exercising out, I was really horny and made some poor judgments. It's critical to transmute your energy, and I'm feeling fantastic right now. You instinctively start waking up early and trying to go back to sleep after a 30-day streak, but I never can. It's easy for me to sleep in because I work for myself. As a result, I'm in desperate need of something to help me with my daily routine. This, in my opinion, works both ways. Last week, I had a very melancholy day because I believe that sometimes you have to lock one door to open another. I was tempted to relapse just to relieve the stress, but I persevered and was rewarded with some fantastic days afterwards. When I'm having a difficult day, I try to remember that it will pass, even if I'm in the dumps. 3. Less tolerant of other people's hatred and more forgiving of myself. I used to have a lot of distracting thoughts that would ruin my day. You've all been there, recalling a memory from your past that makes you physically shiver. It's sometimes necessary to yell it out loud. I've been feeling like myself recently. Those ideas still come up now and then, but they are far less frequent. When they happen, instead of trying to shut them off, I just observe them for what they are. I'm a lot more forgiving of myself now than I used to be, and I don't put up with people's hatred as much as I used to. 4. Improve your sensory perception. I've always enjoyed experimenting with various medications. Since I used alcohol to socialize, I would absolutely recommend it. I've noticed that since I've begun this, I've had a lot less of an impulse to do drugs of any kind. Although my drug use was never extensive, I believe it was motivated by anxiety. I never wanted to think of myself as worried because it implied that I was weak, but I was definitely one of them. I used to take these pills to get away from that feeling, but now I don't have to. I also have a greater appreciation for music. It also sounds like it does a better job of retaining sperm. I used to enjoy getting high and listening to music, but now it sounds just as wonderful, and I'm not tied to my couch as a paranoid, worried high freak. 5. Self-assurance is at an all-time high. I feel like I'm just getting started in my prime. I'm not the most attractive guy. I'm not the fittest. I can't smile naturally for a photo. And there are lots of other things I've told myself over the years that have destroyed my confidence. My attention has shifted now. Even if everything else in my life is a shambles, I feel like I always have a type of self-improvement going for me with semen retention. This serves as a reminder to stay on track with self-improvement. I believe I can achieve all of my objectives. I spent a lot of my life thinking, when I acquire this or when this happens, I'll be happier. But it will rob you of your current enjoyment right away. Of course, I still have difficult days, but overall, I'm happy with my life. I don't seem to be able to overthink things any longer. Instead, I appear to be able to do what comes naturally to me. 6. Attraction to women. When you leave the digital world, you begin to appreciate the real world. As a result, the majority of men will begin to retain their sperm. This will be difficult to express because it is something you feel deeply within yourself. When you retain energy within yourself through semen retention, it manifests itself in your behavior, activities, and thoughts. You must release your energies in some way. You are more self-assured and relaxed. When speaking with girls, you begin to make eye contact with them. Your voice has a calming effect. Your attitude toward people, not just girls, begins to shift, and others begin to like being in your company. Now, don't chase after someone who isn't deserving of your time.